Welcome back to the big question. Before I introduce my guests, I'll take a look at what you've been saying on Twitter. At Karuga Dan, it's about time dialogue began. We are tired of the many conditions each side is giving. Isaac Momanyi, talks are always the solution. Hope the leaders will come up with a way forward to avoid violence. Emmanuel Elijah, the big question, that visit is not going to solve anything. And Abdurrahman Ali says dialogue is good. They have to show leadership and lead this country in a good way. Kenya is bigger than them. And Casio Camos, I think, Casio Camos, it could be if only there would be no hidden agendas from both parties. So what exactly transpired at State House? Majority Leader Adan Duale is our guest tonight, and of course, Honorable Joko Medio, thank you so much, gentlemen, for making time for the big question. A lot has been said about that visit and what happened. You were at State House. First, I mean, we saw the President share a meal with opposition leaders Raila Odinga and Moses Wetangula. What informed that meeting? What were the outcomes, if any?
I think today we had a state luncheon in honor of the visiting president of South Korea, Madam Park, and a lot of people from the political leadership in the country, the private sector, government, religious leaders were invited for the luncheon, and I happened to be one of them representing Parliament, and good enough, I shared a meal at the same table with the core leadership, and it was very, very good. And after that, I left.
So you may not know what may have transpired after that, or? No, I don't know. I think maybe Honorable Joko Medio must have a brief from his boss. But for me, I think it was good, and I think that is how close leaders can be. You know, people thought there were huge barriers between the president and the leadership, and today the country and I'm sure it will happen more. And so, as far as you're concerned, what informed this meeting is this luncheon? I mean, in honor of the visiting president from South Korea. From experience, I have seen when presidents visit our country, leaders of different shade are invited, from the political class to the religious leadership. So I think it was just very, very normal. And later I heard that the president invited the core leadership who were there to Afra Stadium tomorrow. That's as far as you know? Yes. Okay, let's hear what Honorable Medio knows from that meeting.
I know nothing. In fact, I've spent most of my day in my office. And but I saw Senator Wetangula say on the floor of the Senate that they are going to be talking. It was very specific what they would be talking about, the issues that have made us make so much noise in the last few weeks. And he said further that there are going to be other issues that affect the nation, and he's reported that to be from the meeting which they held. I would be lying if I say
you knew anything. You've been invited to Afraha Stadium. Already the court leadership has said they won't be going there. Any specific reason or why?
Well, court has its own function in Uhuru Park tomorrow, where we would be praying and basically talking a bit of politics. Because that's what we have been defending. We have been defending our Madaraka. We have been defending our constitution, which we think the state has been trying to break, and the Jubilee folk have not been trying to live by. So you know, earlier you were even accused of committing treason by somebody I thought committed treason. But you know, by telling people Uhuru Park is out of bounds and the constitution says spells out the rights that Kenyans have you yourself, and actually a junior cop, he himself was committing treason. Okay. By abusing the constitution.
Right. We have a clip of Raila Odinga. I don't know if that is ready. He was in Narok today before he came to State House. He said there specifically he's going to State House because he's been called and is going to bring back the response on all those issues he's been talking about, IEBC. So according to him then, this is why he was called at State House. You're saying that wasn't the reason? Or was there any talks about IEBC that went on there?
I was in State House and Honorable Raila Odinga came and we had the lunch, and from there I was also still in State House, and he didn't stay more than 10 minutes with the President, the Deputy and Senator Wetangula. So I don't think the only thing that came out of State House, Communication Director, was that Honorable Raila Odinga and Moses Wetangula were asked to come to Afraha, and I think until before I came here, Honorable Raila Odinga said even today when we had the lunch that he will go to Afraha and then later come back and join the called fraternity at Uhuru Park. And I think the matter for Uhuru Park is more of a police matter. I mean, we, the Jubilee Coalition, had no problem, and I'm sure, I am very happy the Inspector General of Police said they respect the court decision and they will give all the security that is provided. But let me say it here, that, you know, as Honorable Joko is saying, that it's us who are playing around with the Constitution. To the contrary, the people who are saying that we set aside a whole chapter of the Constitution, chapter 15, on commissions and independent offices, from Article 248 to 251. We set aside, and then we sit under a tree in State House or anywhere, and then agree on a framework on how to disband IEBC, and then come back and fulfill it. I think that is the person who is doing a constitutional coup from where I sit. And I'm sure, I'm happy now there are two groups which have emerged. One is a parliamentary bipartisan caucus. The team from our side came and briefed me yesterday, and they look very convincing. That at the end of the day, members of parliament from across the leadership, and they have said they're going to come and brief all the leadership. And if we agree, we will agree on whether to set up a select committee or to take our recommendation, their recommendation, to the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee. Then today, the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee chair said he's also opening the doors for all stakeholders, for all political parties, those both represented in Parliament and outside Parliament and other the civil society group, so that we engage, because that's an easier route from where I sit. Because if we agree, then we can do the necessary amendments both to the IEBC Act, the Election Act, and the Constitution.
And you're willing to do that?
We have had no problem. We've had no problem. But I can't let Duale get away with this. You know, when they say we are staging a constitutional coup, one Wafula Buke wrote a petition to Parliament. This gentleman sitting across from me, and Justin Muturi and Chepkonga, decided that petition was not going to see the light of day. And he's very powerful. He may look humble now, but they're doing very wrong things using the so-called power and tyranny of numbers. We have today, they have been saying come to Parliament, use Parliament, knowing very well Raila Odinga is not a member of Parliament, Kalonzo Musyoka is not a member of Parliament, Wetangula is not a member of the National Assembly. But they keep saying come through Parliament. But how else do? You know, the Public Accounts Committee has 13 members of the Jubilee Coalition and 12 members of CORD. And CORD has the chairmanship and they have the vice chairmanship.
13-14.
Yeah, 13-14. But they have the majority. In a bipartisan way, they investigated IBC and recommended and brought a report to Parliament. The Gumbo Committee has a report before Parliament. recommending the exit of IBC and its CEO, the commissioners and the CEO, and for very specific reasons. These are the people who control parliament.
I don't think.
And for them to say, that we need another route, Hussein, which other route? We have even, you know, these guys are condemned in a parliamentary court.
No, I think I think Honorable Jakoyo is, you know, abdicating a role he has in parliament. He is a deputy minority leader, and let me even go back to the Wafula Buke. Half of the membership of the CORD coalition in the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee have rejected that petition. And for the public to know, that petition was basically a replica, Hussein, of the petition that CORD took to the Supreme Court in 2013, which the 7-member Supreme Court judges rejected it. So it was word for word. There was no new evidence. And let me finish. And you know, Hussein, this idea of running always, you know, to the tyranny of numbers. Number one, one of these word tyranny of numbers is a man called Mutai Ngunyi. He's the one who called it in 2013. And if you look at the history of this country, number one, the tyranny comes from the people. It's the people of Kenya who decide to give one coalition more members of parliament. So and democracy is all about the majority will have their way and minority will have their say. So this concept of tyranny is a democratic concept. It's everywhere used. But let me come back even to history. In 2002, Honorable Jakoyo Mdio was a member of parliament during the advent of the NAC. The NAC government in which he served, Honorable Raila served, Honorable Wetangula served, Kalonzo Musyoka served, had the tyranny of numbers. KANU, by then, which was led by the current president as the opposition leader, had less than 65 members. So, you know, when the tyranny suits you, it doesn't become tyranny. But 2013, when the Kenyan people gave the Jubilee administration that tyranny. But I can tell him for free, I said it on this show, that if today a Kenyan or anybody from the CORD coalition comes with a petition that incriminates the sending of the IBC commissioners, I will be the first person to support that petition.
About the PAC report?
Let me come to the PAC report. Let me come to the PAC report, and I think it's not a public document. The PAC report becomes a report of the House when the plenary discusses it.
But when it's tabled.
No, it has been tabled. It has been tabled. It has been tabled. But the moment that the recommendation becomes implementable is when the plenary either adopts or rejects. It's supposed to be. The report has been tabled. It must be adopted by the House. But let me say this. One of the report that is hanging on, one of the recommendations of that report is that report is saying Ezra Chiloba, the current CEO, should be sent home and investigated for paying 250 million, while
without a contract,
while the former CEO of IBC paid 1.2 billion,
and he's home.
No, let me say. They're not asking for that guy to be investigated, but they're asking for Chiloba, who only paid the last payment, to go home. Second and more fundamental, if you read the history of the BVR kits in our country, it was government to government. The person who was chairing the subcommittee of cabinet, where Joseph Kinyua and Mohamed Sakia sat, was the prime minister. So that report, I think, is not a report they should hang on. It has a lot of, and when it comes for debate, we will.
When is it coming for debate?
I think once we come back, you're a member of the House Business Committee. If you agree, next week when we come back, we can.
Can we promise Kenyans that can we promise? You know, you are.
It's not.
I'm the leader of CORD.
For your information, it's not a government.
Let me ask you. Let me just ask you. Can we, on national television, promise Kenyans that on Tuesday next week we shall endeavor to, you shall support me when I suggest we discuss that report, because it deals with corruption at IBC.
I'm wondering why you feel that as a member of the leadership of the court coalition, as a member of the House Business Committee, you feel you can exercise your mandate. I'm telling you from where I sit. We have 29 members in the House Business Committee. The PAC report can be debated anytime. Anytime. What I champion in the House Business Committee is government bills and government issues.
That's not
and
correct.
That's not a government. That's not a government.
But you are saying bring the issues. You're even challenging us to bring evidence. Evidence is on public accounts committee. You're even saying. You've even said there indirectly that report is not good enough because it indicts Chiloba and leaves out Oswago. No. Let me finish. This is what is concerning us, and this is what is concerning the country, and it'd be good to dialogue about it. It goes beyond the abuse of power and abuse of numbers in the House. The kind of arrogance. If you look at General Kaiseri talk, when he goes out there, I have just seen him now say he has been instructed to give court security at Uhuru Park. Exactly 72 hours ago, the same media houses showed Kaiseri saying, I will arrest Raila, Kalonzo, and under which law? You know, this thing is annoying.
He said if they broke the law.
No, he did not say that.
Okay, we don't need to keep going on and on about, each position. We know, your position, we know Honorable Mediu and Court's position. The question is, first of all, you gave, the protest was suspended until you get positive response. First of all, do you have any positive response as yet? Do you think you have any positive response?
Quite frankly, the way I imagine it, I think there is positive response. For the president to call court leadership, I think we have to give it to the president. I think it would be wrong for us to say that is not positive response. I can tell you the hot temperatures have come down from 100 to maybe 30.
Okay.
What needs to happen now is to give the country direction.
Right. So does this help? Does it help? Does it help change anything?
But personally, I think it helps, especially if it has. If Jubilee means it. But I don't have no reason to say, I don't think the president is a crazy man that he would call the court leadership, and the court leadership goes to Kajiado and announces that he's going to State House without a reason. In fact, majority leader has said they even had that 10 minutes. 10 minutes is a long time to say, and I've seen the deputy leader of court, Honorable Wetangula, announced on the floor of the Senate that there is going to be more talks.
Right. So with that impetus, as we wind up for both of you, with that impetus, how best to go about it?
No, I think one thing I agree. The meeting of today was good for the country. From the time I left, I met a number of Kenyans, including diplomats and foreign diplomats. I think it's good. I agree with him. It's a beginning of an engagement. It's the beginning of breaking the ice. I think it was good for the country from the tension which we are building. And I am sure after Madaraka Day, and then Thursday we come back to, maybe there will be more discussion. And ultimately, Parliament is ready on a bipartisan issue to deal with all matters that will be done in order to reform the electoral system. And not, the issue is not only about electoral reforms. There are many other issues that we will discuss. The 20 for me is the 20% of the so-called the constitution making process. We have issues outstanding in devolution. We have issues in the governance structure of our country, of parliament and county government. And I'm sure at the end of the day, this is the beginning.
And I can only say hallelujah. Duale has seen the light. He's talking, he has just said everything I would say. We have been saying dialogue.
I have seen the light.
It is not a weakness.
Before you.
it is not a weakness. It is not a weakness to engage. And I think, remember in the Serena Accord, we inculcated the principle of consultation. And that was all and sundry. everybody was to consult. You know, we have to redirect this country, especially now that we are talking about Madaraka Day. When you see a police officer, I heard the OCPD of Central talk on radio. You know, some things which are unprintable. He's a policeman, and you know, actually so junior in that hierarchy. What you're saying, we need as leadership to dialogue and redirect this country, because we cannot afford to go back to the past. As we talk, Hussein, we have people in mortuary who have been killed by people who should have arrested them, who are criminal, and be taken them to court. My last thing is that I want to plead with the majority leader that we must resist the attempt to militarize the police, and always retrain the police to know that they are a civilian force, and that is why we have the army as a fighting force.
I think my final take, Hussein, is that the court leadership must leave arrogance. You know, when the court leader says penda wasipende, you know, I always believe that all of us, nobody is above the law, and nobody can break any law. And even with the police, under the new constitution, the police are under obligation to protect lives and property of people. So you can't exercise Article 37 of the Constitution that gives you the freedom to picket and assemble without not reading Article 32 that tells you, yes, you must do it under this framework. No hate speech, no demonstration, no violence, you know, no hatred. So, you know, the Constitution itself,
but like in Syria,
you already agree.
Everybody who was shot in Syria was shot from the back. What did they threaten?
Is it in Homa Bay where they wanted to ban a police station?
Okay, you're already agreeing. I think
you can just keep
Honorable Mediwo and Honorable Adwale, thank you so much, gentlemen, for making time for the big question tonight. Keep talking to us on 22422 on Twitter using the hashtag The Big Question. We'll be back after this break.